Welcome to the Hotties and Horror Movies podcast, where your hottie hosts, Sanka and Wendy, break down their weekly horror movie binge.
Hey! Hello. Welcome back to Hotties and Horror Movies.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode. Today we are reviewing Orphan First Kill. I had very high hopes for this movie and I was really excited, but I was very let down. I don't know about you, Wendy.
Yes, sort of as well. Like, I don't know. I didn't have much hope for it, but then at the same time, it still let me down. It was very weird. I get what they were trying to do, and I think I'll be completely honest in my review in that I kind of spoilt it for myself already. Like, I accidentally went to read the wiki on something about it, and then it spoiled like one of the biggest plot lines in the movie. So I think that sort of ruined it for me because I knew what was about to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll put my hands up and be honest. I did kind of ruin it for myself, but it was still, I think even if I hadn't known, it was still lackluster. I mean, Sanka didn't know, and you still thought it was lackluster, didn't you?
Oh man. So I completely stayed away from spoilers. I didn't even watch the trailer for the movie. I didn't want to ruin anything or even see what was going on. So I went into it completely blind. And honestly, I nearly fell asleep at some points. Just before the big twist, I was like dozing off. It was so boring. I really enjoyed the first movie. And so I thought this one was going to be, along the same lines. It would be kind of good. But it was just bad. It really was.
Yeah, like it just really wasn't what I expected it to be, honestly. Like, I kind of wish, I don't know, I think they had enough time to sort of flesh out the movie a little bit better, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, there are things I definitely would have done differently in regards to the storyline. I wouldn't have had it, I wouldn't have had it, I definitely wouldn't have had it the way they did it.
I don't know how I would have made it better, but I don't know. I don't really know what they were trying to do with it. So anyway, we'll get into that a bit more. I have quite a few opinions on this that I'll get to because I don't want to spoil anything right now. But once we go through the plot, then I'll share some more of my opinions and critiques, I suppose. So I'll just do a little intro and then we'll get into the spoilers. So the movie is the prequel to the 2009 horror Orphan. I don't know if you haven't watched that movie, I would suggest that you do go and watch it because that one was a lot better. If you're going to pick one of the two, I would go with that one.
I would actually watch this one first, then that one.
No, I mean, if you're going to... If you were going to watch only one of them, I would say watch the original.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, if you want to watch both, watch this one first and then go on to the other one. Although, actually, no. Watching this one first would spoil the twist in the other one. So,
True.
I don't know. Because that twist actually made the original movie so much better.
Yeah. And now that you're saying it, I think we'll get into it, but I think the reason this movie was a letdown was because it wasn't it was one of those, I don't know if you're going to understand what I mean, Senka, but you know how sometimes you'll have a really good movie and then the prequel is an explanation prequel?
Yeah.
Like it's not its own sort of...
But like, it's an explanation that wasn't needed.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it sort of was because I'm like, what is this disease, da-da-da-da-da. But I think the way they did it...
that out. Like, that wasn't really even explained. It was like a one-sentence explanation still.
Yeah, and I think what they were trying to do was how did she get from the country she was in to America? I think that's what they were trying to explain.
Exactly.
Like, in the movie. But I think it was just one of those ones where they were trying to do it was like... it was like they read all the critiques for the original movie and they were like, okay, how can we fill in these plot holes?
True.
And that's what the movie felt like. It felt like fan fiction filling in the plot holes, because we, you know, when you watch the original, you have a lot of questions like, okay, why is she like this? Where did she came from? She has an accent. Da da da. So it was like, this is where she came from. This is what she has. This is why she has an accent. This is how she got to the bit in this movie.
Yeah.
This is how the end of this movie started the original movie. Like, you know what I mean? It was like a checklist of, this is a plot hole. This is how we're filling it in. This is a plot hole.
I get that feeling too, yeah. But the thing that actually annoys me the most about this movie is it's called First Kill. But in the movie, we don't actually see her first kill. So she's obviously in the mental institution because she's killed before. So like, it doesn't make sense.
She has killed before.
Like, maybe call it Orphan Origins rather than First Kill, because it's not the story of her first kill. It's just another scenario that she was in.
Yeah. No, actually, that makes sense. Oh.
That's one of my sticking points for this movie. But anyway, okay, let's talk about this. So,
okay.
In the original Orphan movie, we were introduced to a girl called Esther, and she was a young girl that posed as an orphan for adoption, and she was actually a 33-year-old who goes by the name of Lena. And this movie basically introduces us to where she got that persona of Esther from, and how she got to the US and America to get into the, adoption system and all that. But basically, the movie I won't go into the detailed plot yet, sorry. But Lena is a violent patient at a mental institute, and she suffers from a disorder that gives her the appearance of a child, despite the fact that she's a 30-something-year-old woman. And from there, she basically escapes and takes on a new persona and goes on to another family, and then a series of events follows, which we'll get into now.
Yeah. That's all I got. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yes. Before I get into the detail, though, so they waited quite a while to make this Orphan movie between, the original was released in 2009, and now we're in 2022. It's been a while.
Jesus Christ.
So
that made me feel so old.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember watching this movie in high school, and it freaked me out back then, but still,
my God.
It's been a while. But anyway, the lead actress, Isabel Furman, is that her name?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. She was obviously a child when the first movie came out, and now she's an adult. She's like 25 or something. And
yeah, she was like, what, 2021? Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously they try to put her into like a child body and make it all look good. And for the most part, they got away with it. But she's a lot older than she was. Like, she's not a child anymore. And it's very, in some parts, like especially at the beginning, it's really noticeable that she's not a child. And you can see it in the facial features. It's just, I don't know. I feel like they waited too long. That's my main thing. And now they're trying to go back and, make something of this, but it's just, it didn't really work for me.
Yeah, so I think I completely agree, because I think one of my biggest things about the movie was that every time I looked at her, I'm like, but this doesn't look like... They should have CGI'd the shit out of it, if I'm being completely honest. Because the thing is, every time I looked at her, like, even without her, like, even if I didn't know she wasn't 33 or had that condition, she doesn't look like a child.
No, not at all.
But the thing is, with the condition that she has, right, trying to explain that she, like, you have, and I don't know what I think we refer to, like, people with dwarfism as little people. Like, we don't call them dwarves or anything, because it's a bit, I think it's a bit rude. So I think the new term for them is little people. Little people still age. You know what I mean? Like, even if she had that condition, she, like, how do I explain this? I think, okay, so what I'm trying to say is, even if she had the condition that they said in the movie, she still would have aged. Like, she still would have had lines at her eyes. Her face wouldn't be as plump and as youthful. So I just don't understand how she would get away with being a child, where when you look at her face, yes, she's small, but her face is still developing. And this is one of the plot holes they didn't really, fill in at all, because even with that condition, I think I did Google a little bit. You would still look older. So she would still age everywhere. So you can't tell me that a family would take her in and think she was still 10 or even 12. Like, she's got fine lines around her eyes. When she frowns, she's got frown lines, like older, indented frown lines. And I think that's what bothered me the most. I'm like, you should have just, if she had a condition where it stopped her from looking older as well, makes a bit more sense. I don't think there's something that actually does that. I think you still age, you just remain small. But they should have, for this movie, she's meant to look younger than what she was in the first movie. So they should have just CGI'd the hell out of it. I would have believed it a bit more.
I thought the disorder did make her look like a child. It's not just about being small. I think it did actually make her look more like a child. I don't know any of the medical, details around this, but that's just what I thought. I don't know.
No, because the actual condition is that she doesn't age, right? But you still age regardless. Like, the oxygen, everything in the air, any beauty therapy, like all the things that are in our air ages our skin regardless. And I don't think old mate was having a 10-step skin career routine in fucking prison. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, there is no way with her being the age that she supposedly was in the movie that she still wouldn't have signs of being on Earth for 30 plus years, because that's just what happens to your skin. Your skin starts to get older, it loses its collagen, its bounciness. Like, so even if she had, there is no condition in the world that keeps you looking like you're right out of the vagina. You know what I mean? There's none. There is no nothing, because with the chemicals in the air, especially from being where she's from, it sounds like it was like an industrial country with all the free radicals and shit in the air. She would still have signs of aging. That's what bothers me. I think that's my big plot hole thing with this movie, is that when you look at a child, yes, from a distance she does look like a child, I'll give it that, but if you are up close in her face, I'd be like, why do you have stress lines around your eyeballs? Like, you're all of 10. What you huh? Like, even kids who have been through a tremendous amount of trauma don't have those aged lines around their eyeballs. And she has. And this is not a critique of the actress. This is just what I'm saying. In the plot line of the story, you would notice
they could have made
that
it
old
a little
mate.
bit better.
Huh?
I feel like they could have made it a little bit better.
That's what I mean. Like, it should have been something where for her to get away with being looking like a child, I would have been like, oh, maybe she was a bit weird about beauty. Like, she always had to have moisturizer on. Like, she always had to do something to her skin to give her that youthful, rosy cheek, youthful glow to get away with the scam she was getting away with. That's what I mean. Like, her skin still looked like it was aging. Doesn't matter if she was growing, doesn't matter. Her skin just gave away that she would be older. That's just all I'm saying. And that's why I'm just like, my little sister right now, she's 10. That girl does not have a line in her face. Not one line. Not one scrimmily line around anywhere. She looks like she's definitely 12. She doesn't look like she's been around free radicals for 30 years. You know? And she doesn't need moisturizer. So that's why I'm like, plot hole.
The other thing,
I would have been like, ooh,
if you
your
were
mama
watching,
don't love you.
If you were watching this movie before, the first Orphan movie that came out, I don't know, it just doesn't fit for me. Like, if you were watching this one first and then going on to the other one, it would be so different and it would just be such a different feel. Even if you're watching this movie just standalone, it doesn't fit with the plot, and that's frustrating. Anyway, let's move on from this, because we can spend half an hour talking about it. All right, let's get into the spoilers. We'll get into the detailed plot now and talk about that. So we start off in Estonia, and we're introduced to a young woman named Anna who is going in for a job, her first day at the institute where, what's her name? Lena is a patient. So this lady, she's so fucking dumb. Okay, she goes into the institute and she's meeting some doctor. And very quickly after she enters, the place is going into lockdown. So there's red lights, everything's dark, people are scrambling around. The reason for the lockdown is because their most violent patient, Lena, i.e. Esther, has gotten loose. Who knows how, because I thought this was meant to be like a, I don't know, maximum security institution or something. Apparently not. Very, I don't know, it seems too easy to escape from this place. But anyway, so
Yeah, no, legit. Oh my god.
is it really this easy in real life? Because that stresses me out.
Oh my god, just honestly, the way I was watching this, I could have escaped. This girl was just waiting on something, and she was. It looks so no.
It looks too easy.
No.
Unrealistic. But so Anna goes into some kind of dark room, kind of looks like a classroom or something, and Lena is sitting in there. And obviously this Anna lady doesn't know anything about Lena yet, and she falls for her young child act that she's putting on. And just before Lena can attack, the doctors and stuff come into the room and they take her back into custody. Now, we then go to a scene where the doctor is telling Anna about Lena's condition, which is kind of like our introduction into her disease that's making her look like a child, and the fact that she's been using this to her advantage in the past to get adopted and then, seduce the father and go through all this stuff and then murdering people. So that little introduction is what annoyed me, re the fact that this is not her first kill, which is the title of the movie. So that part, straight away, I was just fucking annoyed. And I just can't get past it. I can't get past it.
It was dumb. No.
But from the original Orphan, we know that she has scars on her wrists and her neck, and we find out that's because she's obviously been in this institution and she's been restrained and she's been fighting the restraints. So she's got all these sores on her arms and stuff.
All these marks and everything, yeah.
Yeah. We then get to a scene where there's an orderly, I think his name was Dimitri.
It was.
He goes into Lena's cell and she starts trying to seduce him, I suppose, and getting him to tie some ribbons around her. So he enters her cell and, she's putting on her little act. And very quickly, Lena smashes his head against the wall and he dies. Again, where is the security? Where is the common sense? If this is your most violent patient.
No, honestly, and let's get to it, right? Let's pause. Let's just pause and discuss this bit right here, because this is the bit that pissed me off, low-key. How is this your maximum security, the reason that you've got all this protocol is Lena, okay? She is the most high risk in this facility, okay? Why is it she looks like a child? For me, this is why you need women in positions of power in places like this. Because had it been a woman, why would you leave a male guard to be the one at her door? She looks like a child. I'm sorry to say this, but pedophilia is at an all-time high. She looks like a child.
He was a pedophile.
He was a pedophile.
That's why he went in.
So, exactly. So, but why is it that why wouldn't you, have two security guards posted? Because the thing that pisses me off is he was the one who's meant to be watching the screen. He's not meant to leave his station when he's watching all the monitors. His literal job is to sit there. He's not meant to be in any of these cell locations. He's obviously sneaking her stuff. But if this is your maximum security prisoner or patient, whatever you want to call it, why isn't there a female guard standing by watching her cell? Because the thing is, had she had a female guard or even 2 female guards, there's no way Dimitri would have been able to give her parcels, because they would have opened it and they were like, no, you can't do this. But because she's a child, and obviously this person's a pedophile, like he's, you know, she's putting the moves on him and he thinks he's in love with her because she looks like a child. There is no reason someone who wasn't attracted to children would find Lena attractive. No way. No way. Okay.
And also,
so why
she has a history of seducing men in families where she's been adopted. So why then would they...
So where is the female security? Where is the female security? 2, in fact, should be on her door. 2 should be on her door. And why is it that you don't have any female... Like, it should be that one person has the actual security key to the cells, and the other, like, it should be an accountability thing. Like, one person has the code, another person has the key. So if you want to access something, like if you want to go into a cell, you have to have minimum 2 people.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I agree.
How?
And if this is actually how these places are run, I don't know how they don't have more escapes and prison breaks. Like,
honestly.
But I think it's just in this freaking movie. It's just dumb.
No, because she had too much stuff in her. Like, if you were if she was a conniving mass killer, the way they were making her out to be, you wouldn't have allowed her to have half the decoration that she has in her room. Because people like her find ways to make anything into a weapon. You can make anything into a weapon, which she did when she killed Dimitri. And the thing is, he thought he was about to get some. That's what's disgusting, is because she got up on the chair after he tied the ribbon and she leaned in like she was going to kiss him, and he was ready. He was ready. And then she killed him, which I'm like, yes, it's what he deserved. Ew. Yeah. But at the same time,
did deserve it.
Like, you did deserve it. But at the same time, where are your checks and balances? Look, let me be fair. I understand government funding is not good, especially in public sectors. I understand. But if I was a director, I would have had a nurse with a desk. Okay, a nurse has to sit there and she can do her paperwork. Like, every 3 hours, rotate who has to do paperwork, and they sit there and they do their paperwork.
Yeah.
And then have, like, walkie-talkies to be like, okay, who's coming to take over, da-da-da-da-da. I would have done that. I would have done that. But no, she should have only been handled, not even handled, she should have been supervised by female staff. That's what she should have had, female handlers.
Yeah, agree. But
because she wouldn't have been able to seduce me, that's for sure. I would have been like, ew, you little bitch. Our backtander is so quick.
But no, this whole escape is just so dumb. So after that scene, she obviously takes his ID card and she makes her way out of the cell and makes her way to, I don't know, the entrance, exit, whatever you want to call it. She walks past one security guard who's escorting another inmate, and he obviously sees her and he obviously knows who she is. The other patient that he's escorting, like, I don't know, turns around and hits him, knocks him out or something, or kills him, I don't know. And then she just walks out the front door. So it's just, this whole thing is so dumb.
Oh my god, sorry, did we discuss how Anna even met Lena? Because that was stupid as well.
Yeah, no, so they were on lockdown and then she went into like some kind of classroom or something and she was in there and she was painting.
And the thing is, they didn't check to see if Lena was already in there. Like, oh my god, now I'm getting angry. She literally came to do artwork.
The opening scene just ruined the whole fucking movie for me.
She came to do artwork and Lena escaped. Where do you think Lena would have been? You literally pushed this teacher into an art room. You didn't think, let me just check the perimeters. Let me just make sure Lena isn't actually in there. They shoved her in there and closed the door. And had they not arrived when they had arrived, Anna would have been shish kebabbed. Anna would have been the new Picasso. You know what I mean?
She gets there in the end. No, look, Anna was just fucking dumb also because oh my gosh, when Lena escaped, she actually went into Anna's car and Anna saw her and then, I think she ran back inside to tell someone.
God.
And at that point, both of us were like, what the fuck? Why?
The thing is, can I just side note? I sometimes feel like watching horror movies makes me such a bad person because had I seen Lena, I would have just run her over straight down. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I feel watching horror movies is making me a bad person because I'm like, I would have just killed her.
It was just dumb. She left her car open and then went inside after seeing Lena out there. Of course she's going to get into your car. And
of course.
Like, that's her escape route, of course.
And the thing is, what pissed me off, she didn't even get anyone to come and check her car after she ran inside. Where do you think Lena was fucking going? You didn't get anyone to come out to actually see if Lena was in your car. Because that would have made common sense. Let me see. I'm about to leave. I've just seen this bitch. Okay, fine. You want to be a good person and report her missing. Good. Then what you should have had was had 2 to 3 guards come out, open up your entire car, because had that happened, the movie would have ended right there. But as we have discussed,
even doing after she told them, wouldn't they be coming outside to check?
Were
they on their lunch break? Like, come on.
Honestly. And it's just like, first of all, I would have just ran her over. Serial killer. Like, you've literally seen her getting ready to kill you. It would have been me first. I have to put me first. I would have ran over her.
Nobody's going to miss her. She's a little
killer. No one.
Oh, my gosh.
And if you wanted to study her, you should have put her ass in a lab. Not that, I am a humanitarian. This is all just waffle talk on the Hotties and Horror Movies podcast. But I would have run her over. Straight up. Yeah. Like, for what?
Yep.
You're mad. Absolutely mad if you don't think I would have murdered her in cold blood had I seen her frolicking about my car. Oh, my God.
Anyways, so dumbass Anna returns to her house with her baggage in tow, and she gets out of the car, parks in front of her apartment, goes to the door and unlocks it, and then she sees the boot of her car open. Now, she leaves her door unlocked and goes to the back of the car to see why the boot opened, what's in the boot. Dumb. Anyway, the boot is obviously empty. She closes it, locks the car, and goes to go back inside. Of course, Esther is there waiting because you left your door unlocked. She's in there and she bashes her in the head. And I don't know, the first couple of hits or something, she doesn't quite die. And then eventually she gets there because Esther keeps going. Fuck.
Just...
She deserved it for being so dumb.
She did. Because you made dumb decisions and then here we are. Here we are.
If my car boot opened like that and I had the keys to my apartment right there and the door was open, I'd be inside and locking it behind me. Fuck the car. I don't give a shit.
No, exactly. No, exactly. What do you mean the boot just rose by itself? Nah. Suspicious activity.
Happened. Especially after what just happened at the institute and she knew Lena was on the loose. Like, it's just, it's so hard to get past how dumb it is. This whole escape.
Honestly, it is very difficult. Like, sometimes it's just so difficult to believe. I don't know. Maybe I think sometimes you and I just have a very, I don't know if I know I'm very suspicious of human beings. I don't trust human beings with anything. I'm like I said before, I'm a highly suspicious individual. I suspect everybody. Everybody's a suspect in my book. I don't think I would have left. I don't think I would have actually left the institute until she was found. I would have been like, okay, I'm going to stay in this room, lock me up, you guys find her. Because in my head, I would have been like, well, if I was trying to escape, I'd be hitching a ride in someone's car. Let me get some guards. Let's get some weapons out just in case she springs out the boot like Jack in a Box. Like, she's literally She's 4 foot something. You don't think you can you don't think you could chase after her? Like, no. And I'm sorry, Anna, you deserved it. Dimitri, you definitely deserved it. But Anna, you deserved it.
For being dumb.
Stop giving crazies the benefit of the doubt. That is my word of today before we even get in. Stop giving crazies the benefit of the doubt. Thank you.
No, there's just no common sense. Look, I say this every time. People in horror movies don't have common sense. It's... Okay.
It's maddening.
moving on. So, Lena obviously goes into the house and she finds a little computer and some, I don't know, clothes that she puts on, dresses up as a girl. And she's doing some research on missing children. And she comes across a girl named Esther. And she sees she looks pretty similar to her. She was meant to be, I think, 4 when she went missing. And she decides that she's going to take on this persona, impersonate Esther, and go back to her family. And I don't really know what the end game here was, but go back and live with the family, I suppose. I don't really remember this part, how she got found by an officer or whether she went into a police station or something. I think I zoned out, to be honest, but...
Oh, no, she was, so what happened was she went to a swing set where she knew, like, I think a park guard or something would be, or like a police officer would be, and she was swinging on the swing set. And then he saw her from a distance and then walked up to her and he was like, hey, don't be afraid, I'm the police, or I'm security, where are your parents, where are you, saying all this stuff, like, why are you here by yourself, and she was like, oh, my parents are in America.
Right.
And that's how we go from there.
Yeah, I briefly remember that. I was just seeing red after that whole escape and I missed the whole section. I think I even missed the first time the only time we watched it, but just going back over my notes, I think I actually missed that whole scene where she was looking at the missing children database because I was just so mad. And then I think like halfway through the movie I asked you about it and you're like, oh no, that's what's going on. And I was like, oh. I don't know how I missed it. It was like a whole 5 minutes that I just zoned out.
Yeah, like... Yeah, you were over it. You were like immediately like, what?
I just checked out. I was like, nah, this is too fucking stupid. I'm done.
No, it was, because it was just like, how do you even escape? Like...
Okay, I'm going to stop talking about it. So... Lena comes up with this whole fake story about how she was abducted and taken to Russia, I think it was. And she then found a way to escape. And after the whole officer debacle, she got flown back into the United States. I say back, but, And she gets reunited with her fake family. So...
Which was awkward.
That scene was really awkward. So... I think they were at the airport, hey? And it was mum, dad, and older brother who came there to pick her up. And the dad was really happy, hugged her and all that, and that was fine. But the mum and the brother were acting really strange.
Yeah, they were very distant for people who, like, were missing an integral part of their family unit. Like, they're very, like, especially the son. Like, the mother was a little bit more, but the son seems just so distant. It's like, oh, that's a bit weird. Which I try to actually be fair, because I was, like, thinking, okay, she was 6 when she went missing. Well, she was 4.
Yeah, I thought she was 4. I don't know.
She was 4 when she went missing. And so Esther is now 10. So it's been, what, was it 6 years?
Yeah, I think so.
So it was 6 years since they'd seen her. To be fair, 6 years, I know, is a very short amount of time now that I'm aging rapidly, apparently. But 6 years is still a really long time to not have someone part of your life. So you've then developed your life without them in it. So I understand where it's a bit awkward, like, well, you don't know who this person is anymore because she was kidnapped, she went through trauma, all that kind of stuff. So I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. But there were just little bits in the movie where he was just so indifferent. Like, when they finally got home and then his friends were over, right? And his friends said some weird stuff and he didn't tell them to shut up or, like, don't talk about my sister like that. Like, as if she went through some traumatic shit.
Brotherly instincts.
Yeah, like, he had no sense of camaraderie. I can't even say that word. No sense of family unit with her. Like, it wasn't like he was protecting her. Because the thing is, she went through something awful, like, if she had really gone through it. She was kidnapped, taken to another country, and forced to pretend to be someone else's child until she could escape. That's very traumatic for a little girl to go through, much less that person being your sister. Like, I understand he could have been, like, a narcissist or, like, a sociopath or anything like that, but you would still have some sense of family unit protection. Even, you know, narcissists and sociopaths still kind of have that within their family because they like upholding an image. He was so indifferent. He was like, oh, my dad's right there. Don't say that stuff in front of my dad. It wasn't like, don't shut up about my sister. It was like, oh, my dad's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as if he was afraid of his dad hearing it, not so much protecting her. I would have mollywopped my friends had they made some dumbass joke like that. I would have been like, oh, we fighting today. Like,
The thing
we
is,
fighting
though,
today. Get out the car.
He was like, I don't know, one of those uppity, snobby, rich kids. So I got that
he was
vibe off him.
definitely a Chad. He was a frat boy for sure. Like,
yeah, it didn't
he was
really surprise me.
I'm gonna have to come for y'all. He was a spoiled, rich white boy. I said it. I said it. I said it. And what? He is. But then, I hope y'all don't feel sorry for him after I've said that, because the plot twist is insane. It's insane. But yeah, completely indifferent. And then they take her to therapy. And this girl is fucking up.
Side note, the mum, Trisha. I don't like this actress, to be honest with you. There's not many actresses that I don't like. It's just, I don't know. She just annoys me.
Do you know
that
who she
didn't help
reminds me of?
Who?
She's like a budget Mandy Moore. That's who, like, because I kept looking at her. I was like, you remind me of someone. You remind me of someone. She looks like a budget version of Mandy Moore. She does. Now, that's no shade to you, girl. Mandy Moore is a gorgeous girl. Like, me and Mandy Moore, she was one of my it girls back in the day, you know, with Girlfriend magazine. Oh, not me showing my age. Okay, of It Girl magazine. Oh, not me showing my old Flintstone ass age. But Mandy Moore she's the shit, okay? Like, Mandy Moore got acting skills in her. So it's a compliment, but still, I was like, this is budget Mandy Moore. It was the cheekbones.
No, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's not like, I don't think she's ugly or anything like that. It's just her face just annoys me. And I don't know. I just like, I don't know. The whole movie, I just wanted to punch her.
Yeah. She just had like a foul look on her face for a mother who had just lost her child or just rekindled with her child.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, and also the plot twist didn't help in that regard. So I didn't like her at all in the movie or in real life.
You know what? Let's give some vitriol to the daddy. The dad, I understand, mate. You're an artiste. I understand that. You have emotions, you have feelings, you have all sorts of things. I understand that was your little girl. She went missing. You've always had hope that she was alive. Like, grief is such a terrible thing. Like, grief can destroy people. But I also understand that if you're going to continue to live, you do have to live for the people who are currently in your life. Because it's just like, yes, your daughter, like, I'm not downplaying his grief at all, but I'm just saying that you still had a son and a wife. Like, you know, there were still people in your life who loved you, and you completely withdrew yourself. And I think had he not been present in their life, like, had he been more present with them, he would have spotted the nonsense earlier. But he was just so wrapped up in his grief and so wrapped up in, like, this illusion of his daughter being alive, which, you know, it's happened where people's children have gone missing for years and they get reunited. I understand that. But I think had he kind of stepped away from his grief and sort of started, I don't know, just being present more. I think that's what he missed a lot of stuff because he wasn't present. He wasn't present with his wife. He wasn't present with his son. He kind of ignores sort of the nonsense his son gets up to, all that kind of stuff. You know, like in the movie when he's fencing, like his son is fencing, he's like, oh, it's family night. He should be with our family. But you only care when it's in regards to your daughter. Yeah. Like, family night revolved around him, his son, his wife, and their daughter. It was never purely just individual attention with him and his son. And I think that would have helped a lot more. But, you know, son's still crazy, so I understand that. But yeah, I think had he been more present, he would have noticed a lot more nonsense within what was happening right beneath his nose. Because I would have. Yeah, I definitely would have.
All right, so after that whole meeting, they've decided to put Lena, well, I'll start calling her Esther from now on, Esther into therapy. So she goes to see a doctor that she'd, I believe, seen before when she was supposed to be, before she was 4 or whatever, when it was the original Esther. And the doctor's asking her some stuff, and she talks about the bird in the office and makes a little slip-up error about the bird. She calls it by name, and then the doctor's like, that's not the correct bird. Or I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something along those lines, something to do with bird and the name that she gave it. And so the doctor's talking to the mum and, sharing her suspicions about Esther's behaviour and, her recollection of events. And so there's another kid in the office there while she's waiting, and Esther makes some kind of scene to make sure that they go home and that the conversation is stopped with the mum and the therapist. And as they're exiting the doctor's office, Lena sees that there's a detective that was working on Esther's case in the past. She sees him across the road and he's taking pictures of her and observing them. So she starts getting a bit worried about that. And then again, later, the whole family's having dinner and that detective pops in and wants to check in on them. And he's kind of just observing their conversations and all that. And Lena's really starting to get nervous now. She's like,
yeah,
maybe he's actually on to me. But yeah, good on him for actually checking in, because
honestly,
I don't know how many people would just be like, okay, it's all solved, moving on.
Nah.
But yeah.
I mean, the thing is as well is like Lena's very on the money about stuff. Like she's very what was I going to say? She's very observant. Like, Esther, we're calling her Esther now. Esther's very obviously aware of her surroundings because she needs to be on it. Like she needs to be aware of, who's watching her, who's looking at her, what's going on, because she needs to be on the money or she'll F up the way she did. Because I think there was a bit where the grandma, where the mum was showing on their private jet, by the way. I forgot. I know I said he was a rich frat boy, but these people got money, like private jet money. Like private jet. She flew to Estonia on her jet, on a private jet. So they got money for real. They got real money. And so what was happening on the plane is like, obviously the mum was showing Esther like all these photos, and Esther slipped up by saying, I can't wait to meet grandma. And she was like, grandma died. Like she was dead before you went missing. So like Esther's already fucking up. Like she's already fucking it up.
She's not the seasoned liar that we saw in the original Orphan
No,
movie.
exactly. Exactly. So I was looking at her like, oh girl, you messing it up from the get-go. Like, ooh.
Didn't do enough research.
Did not do enough research. But yeah, so she was already messing it all up, and all the little details, she was giving herself away. And we know why she was able to give herself away so quickly with a plot twist. But it was just so weird to see her trying, like Sanka said, she's not the seasoned manipulator that she is in the first movie, to get like all the details and stuff like that. To be fair, in the first movie, she was adopted out, so she didn't have to pretend to know all this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's where we got to give Esther a little bit of leeway. She was on the fly. She had to think of what she was doing. But yeah, so so when they come back home, Esther's playing this role, and then the mum and the son, like we said, are completely standoffish. The dad is beyond nonsense. Like I said, this man is so wrapped up in what he was missing out on. He forgot, he did not make any connections literally the entire movie. Even at the end, he did not realize anything. Even when the wife said something, he did not realize anything. He was just so glad to have his little girl back that everything else took second fiddle to her. Like, common sense just took second fiddle to it. I mean, he started to come back. He started to be happy and da-da-da-da-da. But he was still very dumb. So he's just wrapped up in having his daughter back, family unit, He's an artist, and I think the wife, I don't know, what does the wife do? Does she work for charities or do artists? Like, I think she works in a gallery where she does exhibitions with her husband's artwork and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like I said,
I'm not
they're
really
rich.
sure, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So Esther finally gets home and let the games begin.
I'll just interrupt for a second. Talking about the fact that the dad is kind of coming back to himself and being all happy. There's a scene where he's getting intimate with Trisha in their bedroom. Ooh. And, you know, they were meant to be going out or something, and then they, you know, started to do the nasty. And Esther, well, Lena, is actually like in the corner watching them, and she's getting very upset because obviously seducing the dad is her MO. And yeah, she's getting upset, and just before, you know, they are able to actually start doing anything, she rips up Trisha's dress that she was meant to be wearing out that night.
A beautiful little red dress.
And they obviously get, you know, spooked, and they're like, oh no, what happened? Didn't see Lena there or anything like that. But yeah, I suppose that's kind of showing him he's returning back to the person he was, and Trisha is also, you know, obviously that's what she wanted by getting Esther back into their lives. She wanted him to kind of get over his grief and everything. So it seems like everyone's getting what they want except Lena, who wants to jump on the daddy.
Yeah, and so like, good point there with, so Lena / Esther has, again, we go back to this condition that she's got, dwarfism. She's never taken seriously by men unless they're pedophiles. Okay, she obviously, I don't know if she's got daddy issues or if she's just never been able to have a substantial relationship where men have seen her on equal footing. I mean, it doesn't help that she's mad, she's crazy. But, you know, I can feel for her where people, like, she's got this condition where no one can see her beyond the child that she is unless you're a pedophile. And you're just happy that she looks like a child, weirdos. And so I think with all the families or all the men or every family that she's interacted with that has that male figure, whether it be this story or the previous story, she craves that male attention, which at first starts like a father figure, but then obviously it develops into her wanting to be taken seriously as an adult, because she is an adult. She's got an adult mind. Yes, she's childish and whatever, but she's developed mentally. She knows she's an adult, and it's hard on her. So I think this is where I sort of feel sorry for her, where she becomes possessive of the fathers in, not so much like men, but the fathers in these stories, because she craves that intimacy that she doesn't have because of her condition, I will say. And so every time she sees any of the wives being intimate, she does everything in her power to stop it from happening. She, like, if they're kissing, she tries to get in the middle of them. If they're going to be intimate, she does something to stop that intimacy from happening. She does everything she can to try to be by herself with the male, the father figure of the house, because she's trying to, you know, get what she wants out of it, which is, you know, which is very weird to say, but like a sexual relation, because she makes it sexual. It's not that she's even just wanting their affection. She makes it sexual. Like,
yeah,
it's not like, that's what I mean. So that's why it's like, is it even it could be a daddy thing, it could, but she makes a relationship sexual on her part. So it's just always interesting to see, like in this movie and the previous movie, how she sort of tried to stop that in both instances. But yeah, she's just out to kill the moms every time, to be honest.
Yep. And
until
keep it for herself.
Exactly. Until though.
Yes. So yeah, the parents end up going out, and then the brother, what's his name, Gunnar.
I'm sorry, what a stupid fucking name that is too. Gunnar. Oh my god. When I heard it, I was like, yeah, they would name their first child Gunnar. I mean, think of the names that they have. Gunnar and Esther.
It fits him so well, though, because he's such a freaking jerk.
He's a cunt.
Yes, that word.
I'ma say it. He's a cunt.
So he invites some friends over and has a little party. And Lena comes out and attempts to join, and they have a little, you know, spat, and he's telling her to leave, and she ends up telling him to fuck himself. I mean, rightfully so, but anyways, not something a 10-year-old would say, I suppose, in normal circumstances.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, the detective also arrives at the house and he asks Gunnar some questions, and then he asks to use the bathroom, and instead he goes into Lena's room and I think gets a sample, like a fingerprint of the record player or something.
Yeah.
I think he was going to try and do some detective work. But Lena obviously notices this and she decides to follow him home. So, yeah, she goes to the detective house and, mind you, this, I don't know if he expected her to come or anything like that, but he's got a little room and he's sitting there with his back towards the door, which, I don't know.
It's never a good thing.
No, I can never do that. Even in my own house, I can't sit with my back towards a door. It just feels weird and wrong.
Too many horror movies has told us that is not it.
Yeah, like, I know if something was coming through the door, it's probably going to get me anyway, but I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to be prepared. And to be fair, I've got cats. Like, it's funny that Sanka says that because I'm actually sitting facing a wall and, like, behind me is, like, my kitchen and, like, to the side of me is my lounge room. But the thing is, the way my house is set up is I have a cat tower, like, next to me. Anything that is weird, my cat's, like, perk her head. Like, I can see her through my peripherals. She perks up. So I'm fine to kind of, like, be the way I am. Had I not had animals, though, and had I not had, like, I've got reflective surfaces everywhere, so I can see everything behind me. So that's just one plot in horror movies, like, especially as a detective. Why would you face your desk, why would you face yourself away from open door?
And, like, it didn't even really make sense with the layout of his house.
Yeah. Like, whatever,
Anyway,
whatever.
Minor detail. So Esther has followed him home and she walks in, she grabs a knife and ends up, I think, stabbing him in the back, which serves him right because he's facing away from the door. And he doesn't die from her stabs.
Instantly, yeah.
But he what did he say? Oh yeah, did he tell her that he knows about her ruse and that she's faking it? I can't remember if he said anything to her.
No, he was just like, you're not Esther. I think that was the only thing he managed to get out before the next bit happens.
Okay, right. So, he then gets shot. Multiple gunshots. And it's obviously not from Lena. She doesn't have a gun. So we're like, what the fuck's going on? And then the camera pans to Trisha standing there holding a gun that she's fired at him. So she must have, when she got home, she must have gone through to Lena's room and found, I don't know, his address or something, followed her to the place.
No, I think Gunnar said, "Oh yeah, that police officer was here."
Right.
Because she was like, "Yeah, as soon as Gunnar told me that he'd been here, I knew this is where you would be." That's what she said, or along those lines.
Mm. Yeah, but anyway, then Trisha ends up telling Lena that she knows that she's faking it. She knows that she's not really Esther. And she, did she tell her or did Esther ask how she knew? I can't remember now.
No, she was like, no, I'm pretty sure she said, after she said that whole, "Oh, I knew I'd find you here," when he had come to the, when he'd come to the house. And then she goes on to, "I know you're not Esther. Who the fuck are you?" And then Esther was like, "No, what are you talking about?" And she's like, and then she started explaining, "No, my real daughter's dead." And she's like, "But this is what I do as a mum. You clean up your kid's mess." And so then she started like rummaging through and she found, and she was like, "Okay, so who are you?" And then they start talking and Esther tells her who she is, da-da-da-da-da. And then the mum's like, "You could have just robbed us and leave. Why did you stay behind? Like, you could have just made out with a fortune, And so then they start discussing what they discuss.
Yeah, so basically Gunnar had killed his sister. They say that it was an accident, but now that you were talking about it earlier, how, the dad was more, I don't know, loving towards the daughter and didn't really give him too much attention, kind of makes me wonder whether it was really an accident.
No, I reckon he was doing it on purpose because the mum already was like, Gunnar was always too rough. Like, Gunnar always would take things a little too far, and then this time he did it. So it seems like Gunnar would always... Because, like, Gunnar is significantly older than what Esther would have been. So
yeah,
I think what was happening is that obviously the dad, unfortunately had obvious favoritism of Esther. And so he took that out on her by obviously they either play fighting or something like that. And then that's where it happened, where whatever happened. And then Esther... the original Esther died, and the mum knew what he did, and she helped him cover it up. Because what did she say?
The thing is, he doesn't show any kind of remorse. Like,
no, he
doesn't seem like he feels bad about any of it.
This is
he
what
kind of wears it as like a
badge of honor.
Badge of honor, yeah.
Because that's what I mean. Like, that's why I said in the beginning, the way he acts, he's either very narcissist or he's, a sociopath where he has no feelings of regret of what he did to his sister. And then when the mum sounds sad and sorry and all that kind of stuff. But the way she explained it was she was going on about, well, I had already lost one child. I didn't want to lose another one, by Gunnar being put away, because obviously he would have been taken to an institute for killing his little sister. So they just got rid of her body and said that she was missing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it was on their property, they took the detective's body and threw it down some kind of hole. It wasn't really a well, it was like a hole.
Exactly.
And it's kind of implied that that's where Esther's body was also dumped.
Yeah. Well, that's what Lena
sad.
said. She's like, Esther's body's down there, isn't it? Because they've agreed that Lena is going to stay on as Esther to fulfill whatever nonsense that the mum needs her to fulfill. She was like, you can live the life that you want for the little bit until, we need you to leave again,
Yeah, exactly. They'll find a way to get rid of her again. That's not going to mess up the dad so much.
Exactly. So they team up. Well, I say team up, but Esther doesn't really fucking have a choice, does she? She was pretty much held at gunpoint to do it. And so, they team up and then they come back home and the games are on. Obviously, Trish tells her son what's really going on. And this is how you know he's fucking psycho. Like, I'm sorry. Just the way he was like, are you serious? Da-da-da. And not him talking about Esther as, / Lena, that, we've got a crazy person living in the house. You killed your little sister, bruh. You are also a crazy person in this house.
Oh, but the thing is, about the mum, right? How sad is that? She didn't even bury her little girl.
Nope.
She just threw her down a fucking hole. Like, what kind... Oh, not even just, covering up the death and all that, but just looking at that alone. Who would do that to their child?
No. This is why I think maybe that she didn't want to have a second child and the dad pushed for a second one. Because I see that...
Maybe she was also jealous of the dad's love for the
Esther,
little girl.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, there's no... Like, I just don't see how, as a mum, you would give birth and then just completely disregard your child like that.
It's insane. I mean, now I know where Gunnar gets his bloody psychotic genes from.
Honestly. Honestly. He's just so indifferent. And she's more worried about having the appearance of her husband. Like, obviously you can tell she loves her husband. Like, she's, low-key obsessed with him. But, like, to the point where you'd be jealous of your daughter. I mean, that does happen. There are lots of women who have daughters and they don't like their daughters because they're competing for their husband's attention, which is fucking weird to me. But anyway.
It's fucking stupid, eh?
Like, it's such strange behavior. Like, you literally birth this child from your womb and you're jealous of it because your husband is meant to love your children more than you. I'm sorry. That's how it's meant to work. Like, if Josh and I had a child, I would expect nothing less than him loving our child more than he loves me. Because it's different love. It's maternal. Like, you would do anything to protect that child. And she's just like,
exactly. You're not competing.
Yeah.
There's no competition. Competing. It's just a different kind of love.
Exactly. And imagine, like, oh, yeah, your oldest child kills your youngest child. And you're like, oh, but I don't want to lose both my children. And I think she just didn't want the scandal of it. I think she's also a psycho /
that's
narcissist.
Probably it.
I think that she just
it seems like she wants to put out like a perfect looking life for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the story.
Yeah.
So I think Trisha like kind of gives Lena some more insight into like what the real Esther was like and what she, kind of coaches her on being Esther. And they kind of go through that stuff. And one night they're having dinner and Trisha is acting a little bit weird and she, on the side, has put a large dose of medication in Lena's food that's supposedly just meant to put her to sleep. I don't know if it was enough to kill her, but I'm assuming it probably was. But Lena is getting suspicious and she doesn't eat the food at the table. She decides she's going to take it to her room and she says she's going to eat it later. And there's been a little rat that's been visiting Lena in her room there. So she decides to leave the food out for the rat and lets it taste it, I suppose, because she's obviously thinking something was put into the food, rightly so. And in the meantime, she goes down to spend time with the dad. And this is kind of where we see like those black light paintings that she did in the original Orphan movie.
Yeah.
Like, you remember she was drawing on the walls and all that stuff. This is, I suppose, where she kind of got that from. I don't know that I really needed the explanation or the link between the two movies there, but it's what we got. But, yeah, so she goes back to her room later and she sees the rat has died from the food. And, yeah, she's just... Poor thing. I actually started feeling sorry for her at this point because she's kind of being forced to do this against her will and she obviously wants to escape. I think at one point she actually tried to make an escape. Like she walked outside and then she looked back and she saw the dad and she was like, I'll hang on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I think that need for attention and love from the dad is kind of, I suppose, overwhelming her sense of needing to get out of there and like protecting herself, I suppose.
And the thing is, we haven't added it that the dad has done a lot of bonding with Esther. Like, he wants to know what she's like, and she's like, I paint, I play piano.
But nothing creepy. It was all just, dad-daughter stuff.
Yeah.
She's the one that's trying to make it creepier.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, because in Estonia, she did a lot of art. So, and she's been around for 33 years. So obviously her art skills are going to be very improved, like a little too good for a 6-year-old. But let me not, 10-year-old, but let me not take away from the child prodigies. But they spent a lot of time painting. So they bonded over art. They bonded over music. They bonded over like that sort of medium. And that's where their closeness was coming in. And the mum wasn't really happy about that. So the dad and Esther have cultivated this sort of side story on their own where the dad just sees roses. He's got rose-tinted glasses with Esther. And then everything else takes a back seat, which is so creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and the next day, Lena decides to get back at Trisha and she makes her a breakfast smoothie. This, I think, was my favorite part of the movie.
I mean, it was a bad bitch move. I would have done the same thing.
She makes her a smoothie and Trisha's like, I don't really want to drink it. And the dad's encouraging her and saying, Esther went to so much effort to make it for you. It's a nice gesture. So she takes a sip. Sorry, that is my dog. She takes a sip of the smoothie and then it obviously tastes really awful. And she tips it out into the sink and we see that dead rat from the previous night was in the smoothie.
Ugh.
It's fucking disgusting.
It was so bad. I mean, it was so good. I mean, she deserved it. Because I thought we were meant to be on a timeout. We're meant to be we're meant to be aligned right now. And then you poison. Because the thing is, they made dinner and then she gave Esther something completely different. And I would have been like, why am I getting something different? I want exactly what you're eating. In fact, Daddy, can I have your plate? Because he would have given it to her. Yeah. So it's just like lies and fairy tales. Like, oof. But yeah, I think this is where it starts getting good because we actually finally get into some actual gameplay. Like,
yeah,
her killing Anna in the beginning was like, whatever. Like, her killing Dimitri, I'm like, okay. But like now it's sort of like fun because they're on the same page. Like, you know what I mean? They both need to like
Everyone's
scam
aware
the dad.
now, except the dad.
Yeah,
Poor
well,
dad.
that's what I mean. They both need to play the part. I mean, it's 2v1, which is a bit unfair. And Gunnar is such an ass. Like, I think they had a recital at their house where she played piano. And he was over it because everyone was just like, oh, Esther. And he was just like, she's not even fucking Esther. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I think he wants to be the golden child and the only child. And he comes into the room and he's just like, don't forget that I can take you out whenever I want to, just like I did the original Esther. And I'm like, ooh, you're a cold-blooded motherfucker, you are. And then she slaps him because she's just like, watch yourself. I'm actually still older than you. Like, I have killed you've killed one little girl. I have killed grown-ass men. Like, I have killed grown-ass people. Like, oh.
Yeah, I think up until that point, like, Esther kind of felt very... like,
hopeless.
Sorry, Lena. Yeah. Hopeless and, like, really subdued and wasn't her usual, killer, crazy self. And then after that point, she kind of got her spark back and it was back to being the psychotic little devil child.
Yeah, honestly. And she should have just been like that as soon as... I think she was just... She'd never had someone one-up her like that before. So I think she was just, in a bit of a lull. But then when Gunnar came and threatened her, she was like, nah, I need to start taking these people out because they're going to come for me. Which she was correct. She was correct.
Oh, that reminds me. So the dad's going, I don't know, on the train or something to work or somewhere.
Some art
and
nonsense.
the whole family is there, the mum, the brother, and Lena. And at one point, the mum and brother are standing next to the train and there's a train just coming. And she grabs, I think it was like the art poster thing that she was carrying. And she was holding it as if she was going to run into them to push them out in front of the train. Unfortunately, the train guard or something stops her and they pretend like she just tripped and, wasn't doing that. But the mum obviously is onto her and she knows she was about to try and murder them.
Double homicide.
But yeah, that was a bit funny too. So now we go into the crazy bullshit. The dad is away. He's not at home. So now Lena is stuck at home with the crazy mum and the crazy son. They're all onto each other. Everyone hates each other. They're trying to find a way to get rid of Lena where the dad is not going to go crazy again.
Exactly.
So I think they're trying to stage it like she committed suicide. So they're obviously going to kill her, but they're trying to make it seem like she committed suicide. Like just she couldn't deal with the trauma and everything.
Yeah, just so he finally lets her go.
But Lena, being Lena, she obviously breaks free, makes a run for it. And in the process, I think the boy knocks her down the stairs or something.
Yep.
And she's down at the bottom and he's thinking he killed her. And he goes over to the mum and he's like, oh, I don't know, just fell, whatever. I don't remember what he said to her. But then he looks the scene annoyed me too. But anyway, he walks around the stairs. He's literally in view of her the whole time.
I just don't know how she could have gone missing in the time that he looked up and looked down.
Somehow he looked and she was gone. Anyways, dumb. So he follows her down. I don't know, to go into a room and he gets his fencing stuff on. So he puts his little mask on and his little sword, whatever you call them. And he's trying to, find her and stab her, I suppose. But they have a little fight and I think that was actually in the art room.
Yeah, they ended up in the art room.
Yeah. And Lena overpowers him and stabs him. Well, not really overpowers, but, knocks him down, takes his sword and
because
stabs him.
She has a bow and arrow. She has one of those bow arrow, I don't know what it's
crossbow.
called. Yeah, the crossbow. She has a crossbow and she uses it on him, which immobilizes him. And then she...
I mean, fuck. Deserved it. I'm so glad.
And then she gets to stabbing. She, as soon as I think she shoots him, one or twice, a couple of times, and then jumps on him and just starts going straight to town on the stabby. Just but. And then she runs off, and then obviously the mum's caught up. So while this is happening, so when they're at the train station, Lena managed to escape them, and because remember, she knows how to drive, so she took
Oh,
their
yeah.
car and started driving. So she was having a ciggy, she was having some drinks, she put some lipstick on, she was trying to drive away, and then the police catch up with her, and then they bring her back to the house. That's where this nonsense starts happening. So because the
Yeah.
police called the dad, they're sort of a race against time to kind of kill her in a time frame, because the dad is now coming back home. So they have to try and get this done like within the next couple of hours, because he said no, she's missing again. So he's panicked and he's coming back. So that the wife was trying to be like, no, we got it. She's fine. She's safe. He's like, no, I'm coming back home right now. And so they're like the son and the mum are trying to race against time to kill her before he comes home.
Yeah.
And that's where we get up to. And then, the mum chases down, goes into the art room, sees that her son is dead. And somewhere along the line, a fire starts.
Yeah, I don't remember how the fire started, but suddenly the whole house was engulfed in flames.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember where it came from. Was it a candle in the art room?
I have no idea. I don't really care enough to go and watch again to figure it out.
It was either in the
whatever.
kitchen because remember, her and Gunnar were tumbling in the kitchen before they went into the art room. So I don't know if they accidentally turned on the gas or whatever, like that, and then...
Oh, yeah, I think it was the stove. I think it was.
Because that's what I'm thinking, because they spent a bit of time tussling in the kitchen. So I don't know if they knocked the stove or anything like that.
Yeah, anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter.
The house is starting to burn. It's up in flames.
They're fighting through the house and all that, and somehow they end up on the roof. I think Lena climbs out the window and trying to climb up onto the roof, and the mum's following her, and she has a knife, I think is in her hand. Yeah, she has a knife, and she's trying to climb with the knife and whatever. It was ridiculous, because if she just reached up, she could have grabbed Lena's leg and pulled her down.
Could have just yanked her leg.
It was right there. Like Lena doesn't climb that fast. She's not Spider-Man.
Yeah, and she's short as fuck.
A little child. Yeah.
Like, she's in a child's body. Like, 2 steps for Trish would have been like... She would have got her.
Like
she could have
twice
just
her
yanked
size.
her down.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they both end up climbing onto the roof, up on top, and at that point the dad arrives at the house and he can see them both on the roof there. And something, I don't know, knock each other down, and they're both like hanging off the roof.
Yeah, I think
The dad
they
very
slipped.
quickly makes it up there. Yeah, he makes it very quickly up there. It's quite impressive, actually. And he's standing there and has a choice to save either one of them. And the mum's yelling, "She's not your daughter."
Yeah, the mum now starts spilling the tea.
Yeah, but the way that she says it, I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something really dumb. She was like, "You don't even know who she is," or something like that. Instead of just outright saying, "This is an imposter." Like, I don't know. What she said, it seemed dumb, because it seemed like it would confuse the dad.
Yeah.
Rather than just straight out saying, "This is not her."
Yeah,
And it would have been an easy choice.
Yeah, I would have been like, this isn't Esther. This is someone else. Like, I wouldn't have been like, oh, she's not your daughter. Would have been like, no, this isn't Esther. This is an imposter. Like, I would have gone straight to this. She's fake. She's not the real Esther. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, just be direct. In a fucking life or death situation where you're hanging off a burning building, be direct.
And it saves time too.
Yes. But I think the dad reaches down to help Esther, and the mum falls to her death.
Yeah.
Yay. But then
Cracks her skull
I think
open.
Esther's, I think he pulls her up, and then her fake teeth fall out.
No, that's
And that's
right.
how, when he realizes that it's not his daughter.
No, because
Like,
she's just like,
"Who
oh,
are
daddy, daddy,
you?"
I love you, daddy, we can be together now, daddy, blah, 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 blah. And then as she's saying all that,
Teeth are so rank. Oh my
her
god.
fake ass teeth pop out. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then he's like, he's startled, and he like backs up very quickly, and then he tumbles down and joins his wife on the pavement with a nice crunch of the scalp.
Yeah, shame. I actually feel quite bad for him.
I low-key
He
don't.
didn't deserve all of this.
He didn't, but I also don't feel sorry for him. Because, like, you can't, like, had he just opened his eyes, like, he was just so, this is what I mean. This is why you have to be careful with how you love people and how you show favoritism, because you being so blind to the way your wife and your son behave. Like, yes, she went missing,
True.
but you didn't ask questions.
Yeah, true.
Like, I would not be, if I had 2 children and my son had been violent with like one child had been like shows aggressive tendencies to the other, I'd be very suspicious about how they suddenly would, oh, it was an accident. Oh, okay, you're still going to jail though. I could never look at my child the same. You let your son go do fencing and go back to school, and after he killed your daughter, how do you know he's not going to kill you? Oh,
That's true.
disgusted.
No, he's a fucking psycho too, so...
Anyway, so everybody dead besides Esther. The house is in flames.
Yeah, everyone's dead. House is in flames. She goes back into the house from the roof. I don't know how she got back into the house.
Guys, the house is fucking it's burnt. Everything is burning. How does she safely get into the house? And you got to remember, they ripped her stupid bows and cufflet things off her hands, off her wrist and her neck. So she then has time to go grab her little book, tie her ribbons around her neck and her wrist to hide the scars, and then peruses out of the house. And when I say peruse, people, I meant peruse. She slowly exited that bitch as if it wasn't on fire.
All of the walls were like sideways flames.
They were burning up.
And then down the little, what's it called, stairway, there was just a strip down the middle where she was walking where there were no flames.
Conveniently.
Conveniently. And she's just taking a sweet ass time getting out of this burning building that is about to collapse any second. Like, it was 98% on fire.
Yeah.
Apart from the little path that she had to walk out.
Honestly.
Unrealistic.
Unrealistic.
So the fire department, police, whoever turned up at the house.
Fucking show up.
And would have been the perfect time for Lena to just escape, run away, start a new life. But she decides instead she's going to keep up this little act and continue to play sweet little Esther, who has lost her whole family in a fire. And yeah, that kind of leads into the next movie. She ends up going into the adoption system. I don't know whether she got any money out of these people because
Sanka, this is why we are besties. Sanka was it's like I said it in my head and then Sanka got the mind waves. Because I was just thinking, Sanka, this is why we are best friends. Because Sanky, I was just thinking exactly what you were about to say. She's an heiress. Is she not an heiress?
She would be. But I'm thinking because the mum knew obviously she was fake, maybe they didn't add her into the will.
I doubt it.
Maybe it just went to someone else.
No, but the thing is, hear me out. You got to remember, the rest of the family thinks she's still Esther. You're telling me she didn't have an auntie or a cousin? You're telling me the mum didn't have siblings that Esther to go to? Where are her grandparents? Where are the grandparents on either side? You're telling me she had no other option? Like, there were no other family connections. They literally had a recital where friends and family... You don't think Esther isn't rich. You don't think she would have had a godparent?
Yeah, I mean...
This is what I mean by the plot holes, not plot holes.
It created a new plot hole. That,
how? Because the thing is...
Not great.
The thing is, regardless, even if there wasn't a will, right? Or even if Esther wasn't included in the will, she is the last surviving member of that immediate family. Everything would have gone to her regardless. Will be damned. Will is when someone dies and like the mother's there, the brother's there. All 3 of them are dead. She would be an heiress in her own right. All of that money that they have would have belonged to her. Or it would have gone to a trustee who would hold on to it until she came of age. Because when your family dies, the law changes. There is no will. And the way the father's set up, I don't even think he would have changed his will, to be honest. I don't think they would have changed it, because why would the mum worry about a will if she thought her daughter was never going to come back? But what am I talking about? Thought her daughter was never going to come back. She knew her daughter was never going to fucking come back. So why would you need to change the will and do all sorts of nonsense if you knew that your daughter was down a well? So in that right,
that's very true.
she would have been an heiress. Automatically, your family's assets, had they died, would have gone to you. So how has she ended up in a fucking orphanage to be adopted out? How?
And the other thing that you say, there's other family that they would have, you know, obviously given priority to than putting her in a little orphanage.
Is literally an heiress. She has money. Poor children go to orphanages. Poor children go to... You don't think there would have been a boarding school that they would have put her in, or an auntie or an uncle she could have temporarily stayed with? You can't tell me that Esther was born from a rich family and then the solution for if any of the members died was that she would go to an orphanage. Huh?
And I mean, there was no one left that knew she wasn't Esther.
Exactly.
The detective was dead. The family was dead.
Her parents' friends saw her playing fucking Beethoven on the piano. They saw that she was alive. You don't think one of her mum's friends or her dad's friends would have taken her? That's why it doesn't make sense.
Especially if she's got heaps of money.
She's got heaps of money.
I would take a little heiress.
There would have been things, the law would have been like, well, her family has enough money to pay for her to have a carer, or to pay for her to have a trustee, a lawyer to handle the finances until she comes of age. Now, Esther wouldn't have stayed around that long. Esther would have been like, oh, can I have some pocket money? Can I have a money that I can buy things with? And they would have just been like, oh, you poor thing, you've lost your family. Here's a bank account with like $10,000. You don't think Mandem would have just ran with that 10 grand? Like, how? This is what I mean. This is why I don't like prequels who try to like fill in plot holes, because this is the bigger plot hole. Esther would have been an heiress. She would have had money. So how is the option? This is like this. The therapist was really dumb. She's like, oh, well, you know, we'll put her up in a really good adoption agency. I think they said something like, oh, there's no one to take her.
The thing is, the therapist is still convinced that she is the proper Esther, and she's more convinced now because the mum coached her on how to be Esther.
Exactly.
So how would they just recommend adoption being the number one thing? And yeah, you're right. She should get the fucking money.
She would have got money.
Know.
She would have had a trustee, because let's not even make it Australian law. American law would have had all of that money would have belonged to Esther. The house, like any properties her parents owned, the fake parents owned, any money, any assets would have gone into a legal sort of binding thing where, because obviously Esther's underage, she wouldn't have been able to legally own it, but a trustee would have handled those assets. Children can still have assets, they need to be of age to handle them on their own. So she would have had a lawyer or a trustee or someone who would have been looking after all that stuff for her. So how was she just ending up in another orphanage ready to be adopted? And then in the story, just like, oh yeah, we're going to send her, I'm sure we'll find a lovely family for her to be adopted out to. Why? Why would Esther need to be adopted out to another family if she was rich?
Exactly.
And that's it. That's all I got.
Thing though, regardless of all this stuff, why didn't she just run? She could have just started off on her own. Like, why did she need to keep up this? Like, okay, maybe she's just nuts because she just wants to be like in families and seducing dads. She could have just gone and had her own life.
Well, that's what Trish said. Trish was like, you could have robbed us blind many a time and gone. Why did you stay? And then Trish realizes that she has a thing for her husband. Because in the movie, Trish is even like, I'm going to go upstairs to fuck my husband. Blah, 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 blah.
Taunting her.
No, because she found that, you know, Lena had a crush on her husband. And, you know, Trish was taunting her and saying, oh, he will never see you as a woman, da-da-da, you look like a child, he'll be disgusted by you. And, I mean, she did really rub it in. I was like, oh, you didn't have to do all that. Like, the girl's already obviously psychotic. Like, oh, don't antagonize her. Like, oh. But, yeah, the whole movie was a mess. Like, they tried to fill in the plot holes, and then they made more.
Yeah. They, even, like, plot holes that didn't really need to be filled.
Nope.
They tried to do it.
Yep.
And then they just made worse plot holes.
Exactly.
And So many things of the movie annoyed me. And also, it was fucking boring. Like,
It was.
I think we made it sound better than it was. Because
Yeah.
really, before that little twist where the detective gets shot by the mum, I was falling asleep. I was so fucking bored. I considered turning off the movie and not finishing it.
Yeah, you
because
were over it. And yeah.
I was like dozing off. My eyes were closing. And then that happened and it kind of like brought me back a little bit. And then it quickly dropped off again because it was just ridiculous.
It did take a long while to like set it up and build into the movie. It did. I would never watch this movie again.
The setup wasn't even good. It was so bad.
Yeah. Like, you were surprised by the little plot twist, but then that was it. That was the only time you're like,
yeah,
ooh!
that was it.
Like, that was it. That
It was
the
like
only
20
time.
seconds of like, oh, this is interesting. And then I was like, oh,
And then
okay,
it
I'm
died
over
off
it
again. But yeah, so that was it. That was Orphan first kill, even though it wasn't her first kill.
Which wasn't really her first kill. No.
What are your wrap-up thoughts, Sanka? What are we thinking?
Oh, I didn't like it.
Same.
Standalone movie, maybe. Like, it's not even a horror, really. It's like a psychological thriller.
I wouldn't be.
There's no horror in it.
I mean, I wouldn't be giving it
I was
thriller.
not scared.
I'd give it more
it's
drama
just-
than I would thriller. Like,
Yeah.
just because you
okay.
stab some
Like,
people
just
don't mean
because-
that you're a thriller.
Exactly. It's just meh. As a standalone movie, maybe I'd give it like, I don't know, I might be a bit indifferent, maybe like a 2.5 out of 5.
2.5.
Yeah, it's generous.
I was like, you're being generous today.
But as a prequel to Orphan, the movie I actually quite enjoyed. Like, that one had some pretty dumb stuff in it too, but I enjoyed it and I followed it and I was actually interested. This one,
Boring as
too
hell.
much stupid shit, boring, and created too many plot holes. Didn't go with the other movie.
Nope.
Nah, no. Would I? And it wasn't even her fucking first kill.
No.
So now I feel like there needs to be a prequel to this prequel.
No, like, 'cause, okay, very quickly. I thought this was...
Not that I want it. Please, I don't want it.
No, but not...
Stop
I
right
actually
now.
thought this was going to not so much explain the previous on, how she got to the rich family. I thought this was going to explain when she found out and when she came to the realization she would never properly age. And what,
Yeah, and how she got so fucked up.
and how she got
because-
so fucked up. That's what I thought the movie was going to be about. I thought it was literally going to be about the first time she actually killed someone and realized that she could get away with doing it because she looked like a child.
Yeah.
That's what I thought the movie
But
was.
we got her when she was already fucked up.
Exactly. I want,
So-
like, take us back, 22 years? Take us back to when she realized she was
Yeah.
never going to actually be look like an adult. That would have been more
Exactly.
interesting. Like, what was her family like?
Or even what happened with her actual real family. Like, did they give her up? Did,
her mum, her dad.
That
Why
would have
does
been a
she
lot
have
better.
daddy issues? Why does she always try to get with the dads of these families?
Yeah,
Come on now.
Maybe her dad abused her. Who knows?
Exactly. But nah. Yeah,
But nah, it's not what we got.
not what we got. I am giving this movie a smooth 1. Hottie out of 5. Just because it was really boring.
I'll give it. Yeah.
Even as a
I
standalone
don't know.
movie.
I feel a bit harsh giving it a 1. I might go with 1.5.
Nah, straight up 1 for me.
Yeah, it was not good.
And I think,
It wasn't.
and I'm trying to be fair, like, had I not known the plot twist, I was still bored. Like, if you look back at, like, when we were watching each other, like, watch it, we were just sitting there like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
We did have a reaction video to this, but we had some tech difficulties and I lost about half of it.
Yeah.
And then I was upset initially, but then when I went back and watched the half that I did get, we were so bored.
We were so bored.
There was no expression on our face. We weren't talking. We were just looking at the screen like
Okay,
we were dead.
and what's next? And yeah, it just took too long to get into.
Yeah, I don't think I'm even going to publish anything because honestly it was crap.
Nah.
And I don't think anyone wants to see us just staring at a screen
No, legit.
with blank expressions.
It wasn't like The Conjuring Devil made us do it when we just jumped straight into some bullshit. We were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Like, amazing. Or even, like, you know, with some of our other podcasts where we were just like, oh, we're getting to it. Like, you need, like, time is so limited nowadays.
Honestly,
you need to capture us. You can't just...
I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel like I had more scares, or at least, I don't know. At least I wasn't, I don't know. I don't know how to call it, but I would say I had more scares than Girl on the Third Floor. Like, that one
Yeah, Girl on the Third...
was more horror than this one.
No, but see, Girl on the Third Floor was nonsense, but it had some interesting points to it. This was just...
Yeah.
This is how y'all
Boring.
going to fill on the plot holes? Like, come on now. But yeah, nah.
Like, really, the only plot hole that they filled was where her painting came from. That was the only plot hole for me that they filled.
Yeah.
Everything else, they just made more plot holes.
And that she was from originally from Estonia.
Yeah, and how she got to America.
And how she got
Like,
to
a
America.
big deal. Who cares?
Everything else was created a new plot hole. But look, that was it for this movie. Like, it is what
Sorry,
it is.
it was so long.
It
and
was too long.
A lot of ranting.
I don't even know how the fuck we haven't, like, this podcast is, like, this long already. We just had a lot of rants about how dumb it was. But yeah, a 1 out of 5 hotties for me. I would never recommend this movie to anyone again. And the thing is, there's so many good movies coming out. Like, there's so many that look so good that this was just such a letdown.
Yeah, it just doesn't live up to it. It was. It really was. And I had such high hopes for it too, because I thought...
Same.
Like, I've, over the years, thought about Orphan quite a bit, the original.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe this is going to be at least, I don't know, half as good as the original one. It wasn't. It really wasn't.
Even as a
Such a
standalone
letdown.
movie, like Sanka said, no.
No. Not good enough. Anyway, our podcast is officially longer than the movie.
No,
So-
legit.
If you're listening to this, don't bother watching it.
No, don't.
Really. We're saving you, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Alrighty.
So that is it for this
I think
week's
we've ranted
episode.
enough. Yes, and if you're not already, go and follow us on YouTube, our socials. If you'd like to subscribe to watch some of our full reaction videos, you can go to our Patreon.
See some
and
behind the
sign up
scenes.
there. And we're going to have some behind the scenes pre-podcast chats on there coming soon. Yeah, if you want to show your support, we really appreciate it. So thanks, and thanks for listening.
All right. Okay.
All right.
See you next
Catch you
time,
next
guys.
time.